How long have you guys been doing this podcast?
So yeah, actually to make that transparent, so I am actually a guest host as part of this.
Oh, okay.
So Mick here has been doing this with his sons for I think a couple years now, maybe a year or two. I was a guest of theirs about a month or so ago, and I guess they must have liked what I did. So they're just like, "Hey, you live in town. You want to come over and help us out? All my sons are out of town this week."
Oh, really?
Yeah, so yeah, because normally his son Tabor is the co-host on this podcast. So
All
Oh,
right.
yeah. So yeah,
We-
you're just saying that Tabor's out of town for at least the next week or so, right?
Well, he's not really out of town. What happened was Tabor had to go in the hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
so-
didn't ask, so I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know.
So he's actually out of commission
Out of
for a
commission.
while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was being very diplomatic, apparently. In my
You did a really
assumption.
good job too, and I blew it.
bam. Look at that.
Ooh, look at that. That looks great. Oh yeah, with the nice
See,
smooth tracking zooms too.
Ooh. All right. Cool.
Hey, that looks good now. Awesome. So,
So yeah, actually, he was asking, how long have you, Tabor, and your boys been doing this podcast for?
so I actually, it's kind of a funny story. Tabor has been doing kind of like short films and stuff like that, and been doing some production stuff for a couple of years now. And I was never really too interested or involved in those types of things. And he had talked about a long time ago, he wanted to do a podcast about movies and stuff. And I'm like, that's for you. You go do that with your friends, whatever. And then for some reason, the beginning of this year, like January, I was like, I'd like to do something. I'd like to, maybe we could do a podcast. And Tabor was like, well, what podcasts do you listen to? And I don't listen to any podcasts. I have no idea what they sound like. I don't know how you do them, but let's do one. And he's like, well, what do you want to do it about? Well, let's talk about movies. Let's talk about directors. So yeah, I think March we kind of started up.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, so everything I said about this was wrong, by the way.
Oh, did you tell him?
Well, I was like, oh, they've been doing this like a year or two. It's like, oh no, I was just completely wrong in everything I guessed, apparently. No, that's good. Yeah, and just so we know too, do you have to be out by a certain time, David, or just
I have a meeting at 8 o'clock, but they're coming to the office, so I've got like 2 hours.
okay? So 8 o'clock, yeah, 8 o'clock Pacific. Okay, I just want to make
Yeah.
sure on that one. So, all right,
Yeah.
sounds good. I just want to make sure that we respect your time.
Yeah, we should probably be done no more than an hour.
Okay.
Hour and 15 is, that's kind of our area. So I think we'll be good. Yeah.
All righty.
Cool.
So I'm gonna run through an introduction, and then I'm gonna do some introducing, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Sounds
Right on.
good.
All right. So just give me the key
So
whenever you're ready.
you do the thing. All right. Welcome to my dad's movie podcast. I'm Mick Johnson. I'm the dad. And with me tonight, I have a co-host, Justin Zarian.
Yes, somebody who is not related to you at all.
Yeah, I was going to make sure. Usually I have my son, Tabor Johnson, on, and or I have one of my other children filling in if Tabor's not available. But tonight, all my kids are gone back at school, and Tabor's unavailable. And Justin was on a previous podcast where we talked about another director and some movies.
Yeah, we did the Milos Forman podcast where we talked about Amadeus and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it was an awesome show. And I thought Justin did a good job. And I didn't hate him after he left. So I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll call Justin and see if he wants to do it again.
That's the bare minimum for co-hosting, apparently, is I don't hate you.
Right.
I don't know if I love you. I don't know if I like you, but I don't hate you enough.
Right.
Mhm.
So yeah, so Justin and I am. It is confirmed I am not your dad.
Yeah, so this is not my dad's movie podcast.
Okay.
This is a dad's movie podcast.
So our guest tonight, awesome, David Mitch Parks.
hmm
Yes,
That is me.
you are from LA.
I am originally from North Carolina, but I moved to LA 15 years ago.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've seen a few of your movies, but I've actually, in talking to different people, in fact, I have to give a shout out from Mike Ferguson.
Hmm.
I had Mike Ferguson on the podcast a few months ago, and we talked a little bit about you, talked about some of your movies and stuff, and we talked a lot about Mike, of course, but um, contacted Mike last night and told him that you were going to be on the show, and he's like, "Yes, that's my boy."
Yeah.
And he's like, make sure you tell him hi for me. And I said, yeah, I'll tell him hi. You'll probably come up or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I just saw him at the premiere of Last Hit, which is a movie that we have coming out that I directed. We actually did a sold out show in Glendale at
Oh,
Look
wow.
Cinemas. And so
Oh,
that was the last place I saw Mike. But me and Mike have worked together on, oh God, 10 or 15 movies now.
yeah.
Yeah. In different ways. I started out as a DP, director of photography. And that's
Hmm.
what I did for the first part of that's what I'm probably the best known as is as a DP. I did I don't know if you can see them behind me, but I did the Amityville movies for Lionsgate.
Oh,
I was the DP on those and a bunch of stuff for BET and a few things for Paramount and all of that before I started Rad and kind of got back into the indie scene. So
Okay.
okay.
I think I've shot 100 released movies
Yeah,
as
I
a
actually was
DP.
I was looking through your IMDb, and I'm just like, when do you sleep? Because I feel like you just pump
I
out
don't.
so many. I was gonna say, I'm like, when I look at your directorial credits, I saw that you put out like 6 movies in 2 years. I'm just like, you are a
Mhm.
machine when it comes to pumping
Oh
out this
yeah.
stuff.
Right.
There's an industry term for it. We call it turnover,
Yep.
right? Which is that is the world that I came from in TV, which is, you have you take a script, we bang them out like a lot of times asylum model, 6 days, 8 days,
Hmm.
get it in the can, get it into post, chop it together, release, and next, and the whole thing is to try to um, keep the quality level up, which I think we do a good job of. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's great. Hey, I mean, it's good to get work, my background is that I am a master and a bachelor's in film studies. Uh, I wanted to get into the film industry, and I just kind of realized I didn't really have I guess the fortitude, maybe is the right word. Just like that feeling. I had a really disastrous filming experience working on an indie film, and it kind of discouraged me. But I guess for your experience with just being so persistent and getting so much content out, like what would you say is really the thing that drives you to be able to help you get, like, when it feels like you just have so much pressure to produce so much, like what helps you really get
You,
through that experience?
you know what it is? It's that I've been at a couple different points in my career. I've been up. I've been at that studio level
Hmm.
that that people get at. And while I never want to say anything negative, I'm so glad that I was able to have that experience. Most people never get. They
Oh
never
yeah.
get to go stand on the Paramount lot. They never get to, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's one of those things. But at the same time, I always kind of felt, I'll tell you guys a story, okay?
All right.
Talk to
So
me.
one, and I'm not going to say the name of the movie or anybody involved because I'm proud of the movie, but it was one of those movies. And I was there, and there were two producers, and they were about ready to have a fist fight over by the makeup trailer. And we had the lead talent. They were bitching about their Starbucks, right? And I'm directing the movie, and I'm sitting there. I'm waiting to go into the trailer, and we had done this row of like kind of Christmas movies. And so it was kind of my turn to direct um, this particular movie and everything. And it's one of those things that when you're on that, I'm going to call it the lifetime movie model. You're like, I would
Hmm.
be crazy to give this up, right? Because, there's a movie every other month and everything is, you know what I'm saying? I'm a
Hmm. Hmm.
professional
Yeah.
filmmaker. I don't have to worry about going out and raising money. This is easy. But at the same time, you're making things that are derivative. So it's not particularly creative. You're more of a facilitator of film, right?
Yeah.
You're there to facilitate the next thing that's going to go on air, right? And I called up my wife and I said, I call my wife's nickname, I call her Bay, right? Marissa Parks.
Yeah.
And I said, Bay, I don't think I can do it anymore. And she goes, what do you mean? I go, I don't think I can do the corporate movie thing anymore. And she goes, why not? I said, I might just be a little too punk rock for this. I said, I'm really not enjoying myself. And I kind of made a deal with myself when I got started that if I had come from music back in the day, used to be a screamer in metal bands. And
Okay.
so, but kind of my entire life had been avoiding responsibility, right?
Right.
Avoiding getting a regular job. But I always kind of promised myself that if I ever really stopped enjoying it, I would stop. And I was like, I'm just not, I'm so grateful for the opportunity. I like everybody that I'm working with. It's not a them thing, it's a me thing, but I just don't think I can do this, right? I think
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back and be in charge of some things that are more creative. And that was when I left out of that company and then started Rad Cine. And my whole goal with Rad Cine was I had kind of been up and I kind of understood sales and how you sell a movie, how you market a movie, how they do it at a higher level, right?
Hmm.
So it was one of those things where I was like, let me get in with some indie filmmakers because I'm probably a guy that at this point in my life can answer a lot of their questions about getting started. And let's do some stuff that's creative, not just for sales, not just to tick the boxes, not just to make the next thing that's going to come out on the streaming app at Christmas, right? Let's get together and make some really cool stuff,
Right.
Yeah.
and make it creative and get back to looking at film not as a job, but more as a creative endeavor. And so
Right.
that's what I've
Yeah.
tried to do over the past 2 years with
So
Rap.
that's why Rad Cine kind of came about is from that.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
our whole goal was I was like, I'm going to grab a bunch of indie filmmakers, which I did, and make a movie a month. And so far, we have managed to make a movie a month. A
Nice.
feature
Oh,
length movie a month is what we've been doing. Big, small, everything in between, but we try to get one in the can a month.
Yeah, because I noticed like with your output that you rotate between each other, it seems like where you have your six that you've produced lately, but then you've also served as DP for other people's projects as well, kind of thing too. So it seems like you have a very collaborative spirit that you're trying to aim for with getting that production schedule going.
Oh yeah, one of the main things people ask me is like, do you enjoy being a director or do you enjoy being a DP? And I really I enjoy both. I mean, it's a completely the way that I term it is it's a completely different gear set in your brain. So being a director is working with talent to me, right? It's I'm gonna hire a DP and then they're gonna handle the visuals. And of course you have to trust that DP to be able to do it. But now I'm just going to be in the talent, like with the talent. We're going to interrogate the character. We're going to kind of get the subtext of the script, figure out where things are going, how things work. It's all emotional, it's all the feels. DP is exactly the opposite of that. It's all the
Yeah.
angles, it's
yeah.
everything technical. So I actually like switching back and forth between the two because sometimes after directing a couple things, I'm emotioned out at that point. And so then I'm like, it's just nice to play with my lenses and my camera
Right.
and do cool lighting setups and everything else. I don't have to be the creative visionary all the time. Sometimes it's nice to just be the camera guy. So
Right.
Yeah.
I switch back and forth between both.
So you find it easy when you're on the set, whatever you're doing, that's kind of where you can stay at. You don't feel like, oh, I got to get pulled into this other thing also.
No, I mean, it's really for me, like when I'm directing something, when I'm kind of helming the ship, I get a lot of that done in pre-production. So
Okay.
it's a lot of table reads. It's a lot of calling the talent on the phone, talking to them about the character, talking to the wardrobe people ahead of time. If I've done my job correctly, by the time that I get on set, I don't get a million questions.
Yeah.
Because what
Mhm.
I want to do is I need to line back all those questions away so then we can focus on the performance.
Right.
Because here's what I shouldn't tell you because I'm a DP, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what camera you shoot on, doesn't matter what kind of lenses you have. If you have interesting characters giving good performances, you can shoot it on your iPhone and everyone will watch it because they will get intertwined with the emotions of the characters. So that's kind
I
of we are servants to character.
yeah,
That's what it really is.
I think that's exactly right. I find I've seen a few things done on phones before,
Hmm.
and for me, if whatever's going on, if it's a good story and it can pull me in emotionally, it's a good show. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you
Yeah,
saw 28 Years Later, where that was shot entirely on well, when they say shot on an iPhone, obviously it was modified with camera lenses and such,
yeah.
but you can make anything a workable camera as long as you have the vision for it,
Mhm.
Right.
theoretically.
Right.
I liked 28 Days Later. I thought the look of it was great. Um, the ending was a little odd.
Oh,
I'll be honest. I got to that ending with the I'm sorry if I spoil anything for anybody, with the guy with the upside down cross in the track suit. And I was kind of like,
Okay, yeah.
oh, that's the kid from the first, and then it just kind of ended, and I'm like, why did it just that was
This rein this reinforces how unanimous that seems to be, because other than film critics who I know, it's like literally everybody else, including me. I'm just like, yeah, I don't even understand I get how that was set up. I don't know why that's in the movie.
Yeah, it was like, oh, he's the kid underneath the grate, and I
Yeah,
got it, but at the same time, I'm like, why did we end on that?
yeah,
Right.
Because
that
we
weird
had
cult
the
of
now the kid climbing the pile of skulls with the ET music behind it, all of that stuff. I thought that was brilliant. I was
oh
like,
yeah,
a lot of people didn't like that, and I was like, it was such a great choice because it was such a strong choice,
oh
and
yeah.
for the past. I feel like the past 5 or 6 years, especially, right? We don't have strong choices in movies anymore. We have, well, what's going to get us in the least amount of trouble and what is everybody going to like, which has kind of
Right.
led to a whole stream of mediocrity. And it's like, I was like, this is one of the strangest things I've ever seen with Orange Ralph Fiennes and this kid climbing this pile of skulls. But you know what? It was a strong choice and I respect it. I
Yeah.
respect that choice. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like the way you say about punk rock, I mean, Danny Boyle as a director is very much a punk rock director like that. So, it is great that we still have people like him working in the industry, even making, 28 Days Later didn't start as a corporate film, but by this point with their planned trilogy, it's like, yeah, it's corporate, but he's going to do his best to give it his flair and his spark. Same with the rest of his
Yeah.
crew, all those kind of stuff.
I think
So,
I looked it up. I think it was 60 mil was what they spent on that, which was
yes, roughly.
it was even though it looks like a low budget movie, it was not a low budget movie. It was not. But I like I like how they stayed true to their roots and did the iPhone thing because it was like, well, we originally shot the original one on mini DV and we're
Mhm.
going to kind of use the mini DV of today. And I thought that
Right.
that was another really cool choice that they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, actually, I was going to ask quickly about that too. That's a nice little segue. Unless you have another question to jump first.
Oh, no, no. Go ahead.
So I was curious when you said about budgeting and that stuff. Obviously, we see so many movies these days that are like the 200 million, 150 million minimum at this point for the studio outlets. Now, with you working in indie sphere, and I know, thinking too that Danny Boyle has been on credit in interviews I've listened to saying how much he kind of likes having shoestring budgets because it forces him to be more creative and that such. So, with you getting budgets for the films that you've directed, I mean, how do you, as a director, along with your producers, prioritize how the budget should be used? I mean, because I know you've produced some of the works that you, well, I think most of the works you've directed as well, too. So like, where is the best way for you to prioritize how you use your budget for getting your film made?
It really so in independent film at least, there's there's only so much you can really spend making a movie. And I think people don't understand that a lot of that money goes toward the talent.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The major talent. So if I wanted 28 years later is if I wanted Ralph Fiennes, right? I'm paying money for Ralph Fiennes. I'd love to work with Ralph Fiennes. Ralph, if you're watching this,
Right. We'll tag him.
right?
We'll tag him.
Man, if Ralph watches this, I would feel so good.
and I mean, and actors at that level are based off of their sales. I mean, they run numbers to
Mhm.
see what the sales are on those actors, and that's the way that the industry works, right? Indie movies, it's really more about the logistics, like how many locations can we get? Do we have I'm working on one right now where we have to light a car on fire. Okay, how do I do that safely and cheaply with a small permit and
Right.
try to figure all that out in California with 1,000 regulations. How do I do that? Right.
Oh
Right.
So
gosh, yeah.
all of that kind of stuff that you have to figure out. But I really take it like scene by scene, budget wise. And then what we'll do is we'll consolidate characters. We'll cut. So I guess the here, let me come back around.
Sure.
The main thing about making something affordably, because I get asked that all the time, center it around two characters. And those two characters should be your antagonist and your protagonist.
Okay.
Right? So these big ensemble movies that you see, like a Marvel movie, right? You need so many resources. Every time you add a person, you need resources, you need extra time, you need wardrobe, you need different locations, all that other stuff. If you take a large idea and then center it down from a singular character's perspective, and you just have a good guy versus a bad guy, right?
Mhm.
You can instantly make something cheaper, but essentially make the same story. And so a lot of what we do is someone will come to us with a script and they go, I really want to make this, but I don't know how. And then you go through the script and you go, okay, so let's consolidate this. What is the major overarching idea of this story? And then let's look at that, and then let's look at how your two main characters, your protagonist, your antagonist are working. And then let's kind of trim all the fat away until we have the same story, but we can do it with a couple of characters. And if you do that, you can make pretty much any story at any budget level. I haven't been able to do dragons or giant robots yet, but I've made every other type of story. I'm still trying to figure out dragons. Maybe AI will help out with that. Maybe I can AI a dragon eventually.
Right.
But
So I don't
yeah,
know if you know, Cody Newton.
Cody, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's from Idaho. He's a filmmaker from over here.
Hmm.
But he has some movies where he does robots and stuff. It's actually pretty cool. So yeah, I should get you in touch with him about the robot thing.
Yeah, I
Oh
think
yeah,
good.
definitely.
Yeah, doing a good story or doing any kind of story isn't just about what you have, it's how you use it.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you even if you don't have the resources to put a dragon in something, you can still sell a story by having the presence or the feel of dragons, even if it's just like shots or shadows or whatever. I mean,
Well, we actually saw that. Not that I want to jump into the movie just yet, but Static Codes. We
Hmm.
actually saw. It's a movie that involves aliens, but we didn't really see a lot about aliens.
Hmm.
But we knew there were aliens present,
mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So it's the same type of thing.
Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
it's essentially Static Codes is essentially a family drama. And so I always liked the 70s. And here's my problem. I keep doing things that are woefully unpopular right now. But because I like story too much.
Right.
And then I
Hey,
get
yeah.
and then I get into movies like Static Codes. But it's really based off a bunch of people that I grew up with. That's who
Okay.
the characters are. You know what I'm saying? That's who Richard Wiltz and Angela Wiltz were. It's essentially a Southern family movie.
Hmm.
That's really what it is. And then add the alien conspiracy in there on top of it. And I was very
Right.
into Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yes.
Yeah, I
That
got a bit
that
of
that's
that.
what I wanted to make. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a vibe of that. I also, I don't know if you've seen it. There was another great. I mean, it's not my favorite, but it's an interesting film that my wife showed me a while back called Fire in the Sky. I don't know if you've ever,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
where that it gave me a lot of that vibe, where it's like, yeah, the alien stuff isn't even a huge part of that, but you feel that stuff throughout it. So I'm sure you probably, like you said, working with the budget, working with the story you want to tell, you found the characters to anchor it to, and then kind of build the vibe and the mood and that stuff around the central story that you have there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
By the way, Mike Ferguson thought I was crazy so it's funny. I have a bunch of Mormon friends, or they don't like, hold on. Sorry,
Well,
Mormon, LDS,
so
LDS
actually,
friends.
funny fact that we are both LDS as well. So
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So no, no, we're not offended. Don't worry.
Some of them, some people are, yeah, but the LDS thing, I always have to remember to say LDS now. So,
It's funny you
and
mentioned
then
that.
so I have
Oh, gosh, go ahead.
I have a friend named Carden who's LDS out in Santa Clarita, and then he really thought that I based Steve around him. And
Oh, really?
I told him, I said they're not Mormon. I said it's really from there was a group of Pentecostals that I grew up around that they used to come and knock door to door, and
Right,
that's
right.
who Steve is based off. He's like, no, you based it off me. You based it off. I'm like, I did not base it off of. I did not. I was like, but they used to come door to door and knock on the door, and there was a Pentecostal guy named Steve that used to come over to the house. He came 3 or 4 times, and he would come with the Bible, and they would want to sit and read. And my mom would invite him in, and then they'd have a cup of coffee. They could read a couple verses. And then she'd be like, okay, I have stuff to do. You have to get out now. You know what I'm saying? But it was my mom's a very sweet lady. So
Right.
that was where the idea of Steve came up from. And then I originally had another actor that I was thinking of, but then was working with Mike. What was the thing we were working on together? I had cast him in something else, and I can't remember now. But then I started looking at the tattoos, and he had mentioned that if he shaves the beard, he had the tribal tattoo that basically is his beard
Yeah.
Oh
tattooed
yeah, yeah.
on. And then I said, well, show me a picture. He showed me a picture, and I went, so why don't you place it? He's like, they can't have tattoos. And I was like, maybe that could be the point. Maybe
Right.
we can make it. And then that's when he actually helped me a little bit of that with a little bit of that. Like he had just joined because of a girlfriend. He's trying to go out and do his mission, but at the same time, like nobody at the church likes him, and he's trying to get them lasered off, but he doesn't
Oh,
have any money. And I'm like that. I'm like that. That's
Right.
everyone in the church thinks he's scary, you know. And so so that's kind of how that extra layer of Steve was born, and I
Right.
think it works great for the character. I like to have quirkiness in all of my characters, whether
Right.
it's
yeah.
horror, action movie, something like Static Codes. I think it makes characters feel real, like someone that you know. The real people
Hmm.
are very quirky. So adding just a little quirk like that makes them feel like a real person in your head.
Right.
Okay,
So
that makes a lot more sense now that you explain it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because I remember watching that. I'm like, he's dressed like he's LDS, but he doesn't act LDS. I don't know what like is he for churches that, but actually that stuff ended up being my favorite part about his character. Like, I think of
yeah,
everything that happened to that, I'm like, I just kind of want to watch him be this
Right.
whatever faith he
Right.
is person. He's actually kind of I find him very oddly compelling just with
Yeah,
his whole
the Mike
personality.
Ferguson character, I absolutely loved it. And in fact, I wrote down while I was watching the show, Mike Ferguson, loved the character. These are absolutely hilarious interactions that are
yeah.
going on between these two.
And you see with the religiosity of it and with the kind of the politics. I have the one Obama joke in there and everything, which is
Yeah.
Yeah.
now seems very dated, but it's still in there. All that stuff. But I was writing the line of that stuff, but at the same time, I didn't want to delve too far into it. I didn't really want it to become about religion. So
Sure, sure.
I just kept it kind of
Right.
general in
Well,
that
I,
way.
I thought that, yeah, I thought that it was really good that he was a religious figure. You didn't really know what denomination. There wasn't anything super clear about, who he was representing. So he was just representing a religious person,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I
And
thought that was good.
you guys probably know Cardin. Do you guys know Ward Radio?
I'm not familiar.
I'm familiar with a Carden family, but I don't really know.
He's
Yeah.
well. I should rep him while we're talking about it. So
All
Ward
right. Well, there we
Radio
go.
is a YouTube Mormon YouTube site that's actually gained a lot. I think he has 100,000 subscribers or something.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
But he's the host of Word Radio, and every time I go over to his house now, he's like, "Bro, I know Steve was me. I know he was. I'm just telling you." I'm like
That's
he wasn't.
that's awesome.
It was just
You
a
know,
guy I remembered growing up. Yeah. So
one of these days later, it would be hilarious if he just came out and said, "Hey, you were right. That was you
yeah,
the whole
yeah.
time. You
You
were
know
right."
what? You know what? You were right. See, I told you. I knew it was me the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think.
So I did want to jump back. You talked about your wife, Marissa.
Mhm.
And I was reading, I don't know, must have been IMDb or something, but I think you said you had a nickname for her, but one of the nicknames that was in quotes on there was Marissa Sugar Parks.
So that
And
was her singing name.
that's what I was wondering, is if that's what it was related to.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So being I was a professional musician before I moved to LA, and actually owned a recording studio. And I guess here we go. No one from Gen Z is gonna know what this is. But I toured around a little bit when I was younger with a band called Holiday Heart Syndrome, and we sort of sounded like Pantera. It was
Okay.
very all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I did that, got into recording bands in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Bottom fell out of the music industry, as
Mhm.
it does in 2008, right?
Yep.
And I was making money, but I was making just enough to survive on. You're paying your bills, but you're just broke all the time. And I,
Right.
I was actually at a party with one of my friends, and I said, I am going to go to LA. He said, Why are you going to LA? I said, I don't know, never been there. It's got to be better than here. That was it. That was
Right.
and then so I sold my equipment to the guys running that place. I had like a big console and Pro Tools HD and all this stuff. Sold all of that stuff to them. Used that as the money to come out here. And then here's how I became a DP. Are you ready?
All right.
Get a job mixing audio for this company that's no longer in business out here called Advanced Digital, right? They were out in Woodland Hills. Well, I didn't realize moving from North Carolina that like things close up in the winter in
Um,
the film industry. Like that people are just like go home, come back after Christmas. Well, I
right.
was
Yeah.
broke. I had just put money down on an apartment and everything and just moved across the entire country. I think I had like $63 in my bank account. And then I get this call that's like, hey man, we'll see you in like 4 months. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna eat, right? One of my buddies, one of my roommates was like, "Hey, there's this house party," and I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna go because they have free beer and food,
Sure.
right?"
That
So
that's how I got to be a part of the LDS religion. Free food, man.
Yeah.
I
free
was in
food,
there. I was
exactly.
in there.
So I get there, and by happenstance, when I was in college, I dated a girl that wanted to be a DP. And back then, we shot everything on film on 16 millimeter.
Mhm.
And so these guys are talking, and they're trying to shoot this vampire short film, but the guy wants to shoot it on 16 millimeter, but they need a clapper loader. They need somebody to load the camera. And I'm like, which camera is it? And they said, it's an Aeroflex SR3. And I said, I'll load it. And they're like, no, you won't. You're like a sound guy. And I said, no, seriously, man, I've loaded that camera 1,000 times. And they're like, okay, well, we got $150 a day if you'll load this camera. And I'm like, I'll load it because I'm broke.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm
Done.
saying? So then I got on set for that, did a good job of loading the camera, did actually know what I was doing, did a good job with that. Well, then started like I remembered working with her and helping her pull focus and all this other stuff. So I was like, hey, hit me up for any other camera stuff, right? And they did. They'd start hitting me up, hey, come out and pull focus on this, come out and do this. Well, then I quickly realized that camera guys made a lot more money than sound guys. So I was like, I need to get into this
Right.
because these camera guys are making bank, right? And but I don't have any formal training in in cameras or anything like that. I literally just kind of figured it out. And then when the red cameras came out, got really popular, I bought one of those, just kept shooting and kind of built what where I'm at now. But in the midst
Right.
of all that, that was my musical background. And then my wife, when I met my wife at a karaoke bar. She liked the way that I sang, right? Who knows what I sang because, guys, I was illiterate. Came home with me and never left. That's how that worked.
Right.
So me and her would, up until our daughter was born, would tour all around town here at all the little clubs, and then we played music that, I guess the best way to describe it is kind of like the Black Keys, kind of bluesy hard rock music. And
Okay.
she's got a couple albums out. So it's Sugar Parks was her stage name, and we're trying to get back into it now. My daughter was born 4 years ago, and she's just now starting pre-K and all that. So
Oh,
Marissa's actually got some extra time to start singing again. Yeah.
Right on.
that's
So I'm
great.
hoping
Right.
that with that I'm helping her put together another album pretty soon.
Oh,
Nice.
wow. Yeah. Well, that's a very roundabout way to becoming a cinematographer. You
It
start.
is. That
No, that's
is,
great.
yeah.
You
I
got
mean,
you
people.
got to start out with $63 and go from there.
Yes, $63. You won't. Here's what I tell people, because the other thing I get asked is, I want to be in entertainment, but I don't know what to do because I don't know if I should quit my job and whatever. And I'm like, just start, just begin.
Hmm.
Because here's the thing: if you give yourself a safety net, you're going to return to your safety net because it's comfortable, right?
Right.
But if you don't have a safety net, you won't fail because you don't want to fall because that means that you starve to death, right? So just don't give yourself another choice.
Right.
That's what I did. It's just
You
like,
have no
okay,
choice.
well, I've got to figure out the balance in all of this because I can't fall. And then you look up, and 15 years later, you're a filmmaker,
Right.
for
Yeah.
better or worse. May God have mercy on you. But yeah,
Right.
you're a filmmaker. That's how it happens. So
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I want to follow up on that too, because so since you kind of fell into it a little bit, like just having the opportunity, and which that's always a great lesson from my experience as well. Just like sometimes you just see a door that's open and you just put your foot in it.
Mhm.
Um, but when you were getting into the experience of like learning cinematography and that such, did you have any like experiences for like watching certain movies or looking up certain types of cinematographers that you really came to or already did admire that helped you kind of like if not teach you how to shoot, at least give you ideas of how you would want to shoot, kind of thing.
I think my favorite DPs overall. I mean, of course, I love Roger Deakins. I've met him a
Oh
couple,
yeah, who doesn't?
right? Of course, I love Roger Deakins. And I love his interviews because he's just like this snarky British guy. But I like how he gives everybody the business. It's cool. It's a very DP thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We're a salty group of people.
You like
So
the snarky
I
quality.
enjoy watching interviews with him. But probably the people I shoot the most like are probably Robert Richardson, who's
Oh.
worked with Tarantino a lot. I'm actually kind of the opposite of Deakins. I like the hard backlight. I like the theatrical lighting. I
Hmm.
like adding color. I don't need everything to be sourced or motivated when I shoot. I like to just make things pretty. I'm that guy. So I really like Robert Richardson, and I like Emmanuel Lubezki
Yes.
is another really probably a big influence on mine. But I never got to really formally study it because I was too busy shooting movies, and then kind of figuring out what I liked, you know.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah,
Nice.
people kept hiring me, so I guess I have good taste. I
Just
guess
Sure.
keep
that
doing
was
it.
it.
Yeah.
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 I mean, and there's so many different styles you see out there. Like, I don't know if you've been following even that there's the Emmys going on right now. They just had their first week, as the time of this recording, they had their technical categories for all the creative stuff. And I always love seeing the type of people who get spotlighted there because then you can see just all the different styles that there really are in the industry.
Oh yeah.
I think Severance, the TV show, won for cinematography this year. And it's just really fun to watch the method of how I forget the cinematographer's name, so it's Jessica, forget her last name, but just like seeing how they coordinate with the directors like that to be able to get those kind of styles. And so just thinking about that too, because I know that you had, and I'm gonna pull his name up quickly because I had it right here. Your cinematographer on Static Codes.
Matt Mosser.
Yes, I knew he was Matt. I wanted to make sure what his last name was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so from your experience with you having your, like shooting so many movies, getting your style down, and then you're bringing somebody else in, like you've talked about the way that you communicate with your cinematographers. Like, what do you think is the most effective thing that you do to communicate, like to find fusion between your style and how you work with this other cinematographer?
I think that if for me, at least what I've done is I have picked people that I already like their style. That's kind of because I have to be um I have to be comfortable enough so that I can step away. And then maybe the only little pieces of direction visually that I'll give them is like if I want a little more backlight or if there's a color, something like that I want to use. But a lot of times it's for them to kind of unburden me with
Mhm.
that. Get this away from me so that I can work with the talent, you know.
Yeah.
So that, but as far as like what I look for in cinematographers, it's probably like one of Matt's big strengths was camera motion, camera movement, things like that,
Yeah.
right? There's something that everyone has. Like I truly believe that. Preston Weaver, who is the guy that did When It Rains in LA and a lot of the newer stuff, right? Preston is his whole thing is he's very good at framing characters and then letting them move through the frame. So
Oh,
it's almost the opposite type of thing. Whereas we'll do stuff where you'll follow one character and then people kind of land into the shot. These kind of long oneers and things that we do on the Ronin and on the Steadicam and things
right.
like that. But whatever their strengths are, I try to just play into that visually, and I think I'm pretty good at that. I don't. I'll pick somebody whose style I already think is good, and then kind of let them run with it. I feel like I've had a lot of success that way. But as far as deciding visually when I'm directing, I decide that a lot with the locations, with the art department, with the wardrobe, with things like that. And then it's just kind of working with the DP to decide how we're going to move through the scene. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
that's
Mhm.
it feels like the way you frame it is very much a trust exercise. Like you're
It
saying, like,
is.
yeah, putting your faith that they know what you want, but you're also giving them the freedom to show what they got, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. By the way, I
That's
just wanted to make sure I clarified. The person's name was Jessica Lee Gagne, I believe her name is. Just so in case you'll be listening, just like I want to make sure I already forgot one person's name there, everyone else's name. So Matt McCurr, Jessica Lee, Jessica Gagne, get all these names out just so we're giving credit to where credit's due for
yeah.
the site. But yeah, no, that's great. That's great.
So when we had talked originally to set this podcast up, David, we had talked about static codes.
Hmm.
We talked about When It Rains in LA, and we talked
Hmm.
about Deadly Desire. I think those were the kind of the three that you were thinking about talking about. I did see Static Codes and When It Rains in LA. I have not had a chance to see Deadly Desire yet. But so let's talk about Static Codes for a minute. And you wrote that, right?
He wrote
I
and
did.
directed. Yeah.
So here's the crazy part about static codes. I had been a part of writing things, but I hadn't really written a script yet.
Okay.
Mhm.
In fact, I used to tell people I wasn't really interested in writing, right? I didn't really have anything that, I guess what it was I didn't really have anything I wanted to say at that point in my life. I think for a long time I was just grinding through the industry. And I had my spot, and I was a DP,
Right.
and
Mhm.
that was good enough
It was
for a lot of
comfortable.
it was comfortable for a lot of
Yeah.
years, and I enjoyed what I did. And then um, we had at that same company we had a director who left out, and people started talking about, well, here's how it happens. Mitch is good at being in charge of things. So why don't we have him direct some stuff? Okay, but I mean,
Okay.
and I mean, and I'm literally like, okay, well, but I'm a DP. I'm not a director, right? But like, you're good with the actors, and you can blah 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 blah. And why don't you? Okay, so I directed a few small things, and I was like, okay, this isn't that bad. I feel like I know what I'm doing. I took some acting classes so I know how to speak to actors. I feel like I get pretty good performances. This is working out, right? And then it was during COVID, I caught a fever, right? And I thought it was COVID, but it wasn't. It was just a flu. And I was sick as a dog, right? So I laid down and I dreamt static codes. I dreamt it
Oh.
like I was watching it on. I don't know how high my fever was, but I dreamt it like I was watching it on a movie screen with Shane Woodson in it. That's the reason that Shane actually, we went back and forth on whether he could do it. And I said, you have to do it. You're the guy that saw, it's you, right? So
Right.
um, I watched it like a movie right up to the point where he discovers the tattoo. And then I woke up. Well, fever was broke. I was cold sweat, right? Like, and I go, I have to write it down. I have to write it down or I won't remember it. Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I grab a laptop. My wife's like, what are you doing? And I have to write this down. I have to write it down or I'm going to forget. So then I just wrote out like a beat sheet, wrote out what I remembered from the dream. And then I added that in. So that was really the first thing that I ever wrote was static codes. That was the
Wow.
first script. Now, since then, I've written 10 or 20 other scripts because once you start writing, well, then you're like, well, now I have an idea for this. Now I have an
Right.
idea for that.
Right.
But
Right.
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
came by by complete accident that I started um, writing. And then I think once people started reading the things that I wrote, they're like, oh, you're a pretty good writer. And I'm like, good, that's good.
Right
I,
on.
that was what happened.
Hey,
So
again, like you said, sometimes you just luck out in it. Like, just like, hey, this just fell in my lap. I get a
Right.
I
chance to
just
actually, yeah.
I think the point of this whole conversation is Mitch just does things. I just keep doing things.
Right. Somebody
It seems to
somebody
work out.
says somebody says, "Hey, let's have Mitch do it." Okay. Here we
Okay.
go.
Yeah.
Why not?
But yeah, yeah, I have I've definitely stumbled into quite a few things. Just blatantly fell into it.
Now, having talked to Mike Ferguson a couple of times and knowing him and watching some of the stuff he's been in, based on your fever, I'm guessing your fever got really, really high uh, to put Mike Ferguson in. I'm just guessing that character that was a really high fever.
Yeah, me and Mike have always gotten along well. In fact, I knew his wife Tawana before I knew Mike.
Oh, really?
She did this movie It was a Shane Woodson movie, actually. It was called Tidy Tims. It was the lowest budget little comedy movie out in Pomona. And she was in it as like a bit character, as like the muscle girl. You can see
Oh,
that, right?
okay.
In
Yeah.
this movie. And she forgot some of her wardrobe, and Mike showed up with her wardrobe, and he had on a Misfit shirt. And I said, "That's one of my all-time favorite bands, man. I love the Misfits." And so
Oh,
we started talking, and he had just started, this was 2015 or 16. He had just started acting, and he was telling me, he's like, I think I'm going to do more of it. I really, he was telling me there was a jail scene or something he was in. He's like, I really enjoyed it. I said, well, you should do it, man. Like, you have a great look. You could be the bad guy in any movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And so, he really, right after that, he really, took off and just of his own volition, just through sheer will, if you know Mike,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, just through sheer will, just took every single acting thing he could possibly get and
hmm
then built an entire career. The next time that we saw each other was on Amityville Uprising, which is the movie on Peacock. I was the DP on
Yeah.
Amityville Uprising, and he showed up as one of the detectives, and he's, hey, buddy, how's it going? I said, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm looking for the characters, buddy. And so
Right.
and so then and so then we hit it back off on that movie. And we've just worked together on and off for years. I mean,
Yeah.
me and Mike get along spectacularly well. I mean,
He
we're old rocker guys,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
you know?
He did say in his interview, he said the key to his success is he doesn't say no to anything ever.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, that's what got him. I looked on his IMDb, even that I saw that one of his earliest gigs was on Agents of Shield, and I'm just like, hey, that's a
Yeah.
great place to start, where you get a Marvel TV show and then just building your career off of that. I mean, and to be fair, he's like a background extra in that episode, but you're just like, hey, you take the jobs you get and you work your way up.
Yeah.
You know?
But you know what? You notice him
Yeah,
and
oh yeah,
you remember him.
he's very hard to miss.
Yeah.
And so
So
he's but he's the other thing I will say about Mike. I know he's going to listen to this. Hi, Mike.
oh yeah.
Hi, Mike.
But the one thing I will say about Mike is this, and I don't want to go to his head, but a lot of big guys like Mike, right, with all the tattoos and the big muscles and stuff, they a lot of them, and you know this as a director, a lot of them manage Hulk smash pretty
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
However, range is not that type of guy's um milieu, I'll say. A lot of those kind of character actors, right? And
Mhm.
Mike has been very successful also because he's a very talented actor. Mike can turn on the waterworks. He can do a serious dramatic performance. He can dial it down. He's also he and I've seen him do it for years. He has studied the art of acting. He knows how to block to camera. He knows exactly what he's doing. So when you need that very dramatic performance like Steve, where he's bawling his eyes out in the dirt because he doesn't want him to hurt his friend, Mike can pull that off. And a lot of
Right.
guys that look like Mike are are not able to manage that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're
You know what I'm
seeing that
saying?
with
So
even yeah, we're
yeah,
seeing that with people like with Dave Batista, where it's like they actually have more they can offer as long as you give them the chance to try. You know,
yeah,
like even where you see him in Blade Runner 2049, where you're like, yeah, that's like the least Dave Batista role you could ever think of putting him in, but he did it. You know, just
Right.
sometimes
yeah.
give those guys a chance; they will prove you wrong on a lot of
Right.
occasions. So
But he's just the type of guy like he honestly, as cool as Mike looks, he could coast on those looks. You
yeah,
know he could.
Yeah.
And get a million roles that way. But it's the fact that you'll see him in a performance and you go, man, that guy can also he can really fucking act.
Right.
You know what I'm
So
saying? You can't take it away from him. Now that I've said that and he's going to watch that now
yeah,
it's
you've kind of opened up this whole new thing. Yeah. We're gonna have
now
to
it's going to be a whole new thing.
yeah,
He's
we're
going
gonna
to be
have to
like,
deal with
see, I'm awesome. I'm awesome. Now I'm never going to live that down.
right.
But I have to
Thanks for
give
doing
that
that.
to it. Yeah, I've directed Mike a bunch, worked with him as a DP a bunch. honestly never seen a bad performance come out of the guy. He's a very talented actor.
So
Yeah.
that the actors on Static Codes, I'll tell you, um, I'm not real. I don't know a lot about the indie scene. I've seen some indie films and stuff, and I'm kind of getting, because of this podcast, I'm getting more and more into the indie films and stuff, and getting to know people a lot more. And I really liked the story of Static Codes. I thought the story was really cool. And
Mhm.
another thing I really liked is, since we're talking about the actors, of course I liked Mike, but Augie Duke, who
Mhm.
played Angela, um, I really liked her performance. I thought she did a fantastic job. And I was trying to figure out while I was watching it, what do I really like about her so much? And I kind of realized, you know what? She reminds me of my daughter. She,
Mhm.
that's how my daughter acts. She's kind of this tough chick, you know.
Yeah. That's
So,
Augie is a Augie is she is a third generation actor. Like her
oh,
whole family were actors. The Duke,
Oh.
right? But the she's spectacular. I'll tell you a funny story. So the first day that she was on set, number one, she had just had Elvis, her son, right?
okay.
Oh.
And so we she it was funny because we had to make some concessions for her to be there and everything, and then she was kind of like out of sorts, and she, we were trying to get we got her her own trailer and everything, and because of that, she wasn't able to quite show up. So the first thing that we did was when she was standing on that bridge, right?
Okay.
Hmm.
And Steve comes running out. She goes, "What?" Because she can't, that
Right.
particular line. Now, this is the first time I've directed her. First time. We've known each other for years, but first time I've directed her. And she fought me on that because Augie is tough in real life.
Right.
She comes out and it was just funny. I don't think she quite knew what was happening. And so when she comes out, she turns and she just goes, "What, Dad?" Like that, right? I loved it. I thought it was great. I was like, because it was completely bewildered, right?
Right. Right.
And she was, "Mitch, you're not going to keep that." I said, "No, that's it. It's done." I said, I saw it. I
Right.
saw it. You're one and done." And she's like, "No, but I wanted to have this big reaction. I wanted to blah, blah, blah." All of a sudden, she's like, "You have to let me reshoot it." And I was like, no, she was mad at me for the rest of the day. In the actual movie though, it's still one of my favorite scenes is that because it goes, what would if you knew that your father was a paraplegic, right? And then all
Right.
of a sudden he just came running up to you. How would you react?
Right. Right.
And it just came off. I guess when I originally wrote it, I thought it was going to be this big thing too. But then when I saw it, I was like, that's perfect. You wouldn't know how to react.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things. But yeah, but working with Augie was a blast because Augie will. I actually like that when actors challenge you, when they come back and go, I didn't think it felt right, or can I get another thing? I like to work collaboratively with actors because a lot of times if you're working with very talented people like Mike, like Augie, they'll give you something that you weren't expecting that's better
Right.
than what you had in your head. If you
Right.
Yeah.
open your mind to it.
It's interesting how a lot of times when you're watching movies, it's these little things as you're watching the movie, these little things that come up, like that little reaction that you're talking about,
Hmm.
that really make the movie good. Is
Yeah.
all of these little tiny things that just kind of go along. There was two other things that she had done, and I'm assuming it was by design, but I thought it was absolutely hilarious. One of them was the double finger to the agents while
Yeah.
she's sitting in that room, and she's got her head on the table and she's just flipping them off.
That's let me go. Yeah.
Right. I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
Mhm.
Just the fingers going up. It's like, yeah, yeah, that's awesome. The other thing was one of her lines was tinfoil hat wearing assholes.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I thought, wait a minute. I don't know if that's what this is, but is this a reference to M. Night Shyamalan's Signs? Because he has a scene where they're wearing tinfoil
With
hats.
Joaquin Phoenix and the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what popped in my head was that's what she's talking about.
Mhm. Yeah, the tinfoil hat. I guess that was okay, so it wasn't a reference to that, but the movie has a lot of 90s references.
Okay.
It,
Yeah.
and so that was just a way that people used to, and maybe it comes from that movie and I was unaware, right? But it's a way that people used to describe like someone crazy, your
They're
tinfoil
they're wearing the
hat wearing
tinfoil
mother
hat.
effer, it's like that kind of thing. And so
Right.
that it's just a childhood reference, but it could have very because Signs is from the 90s, it could have come from that, and I just didn't even realize it. So
Yeah.
maybe in a roundabout way it is.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually did want to ask something too, just on the notes we're talking about actors, because I want to talk about When It Rains in LA, because I know that along with so you had Taryn Manning working with you on Static Codes. I mean, and she's in it briefly, but it's still, it's Taryn Manning, someone who's notable.
Yeah.
And I know that you got Eric Roberts for When It Rains in LA as well. And it's kind of a big deal. You got an Oscar-nominated actor being on set with
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
kind of thing.
I
I don't
I
know.
grew up with I'm sorry, who'd you just say?
Eric Roberts.
Eric Roberts. I grew up
That
with
guy
Eric
that you
Roberts.
said you remember.
Right.
But when you think about it, you're like, yeah, this guy who was in I don't know if you saw the film Runaway Train that he got his Oscar nomination for. Really, really great
Yeah.
little thriller. But it's just interesting when you get somebody who's got like a name like that, like you hear somebody like, oh, people will see and go, Eric Roberts, Dark Knight, Runaway Train, this kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
how do you get to that point when you can get Eric Roberts in your film? Like, what, but not to say like, even your level, but it's like the process of being able to get somebody like that, where again, you're friends with Mike, you're friends with all these other actors who do this kind of thing. But you got to pull in Eric Roberts to come to your set, kind of thing. Like, how does that work? What's the
I mean,
experience like doing that?
um, as far as Eric, I mean, I just, Eric does a lot of movies.
Oh yeah.
So I had worked with him as a DP before, and then I'm buddies with his wife, Eliza.
Oh,
That's
nice.
it. So I
Well,
called her and I'm like, I'm gonna need Eric. I did the same thing. We've got a movie. We've got a movie called Dark Mode coming out too, where we cast him as one of the titular villains in
that's right.
Oh,
in that movie.
I was
But
going to say, I thought that he was in more than one that you were doing. I thought I saw he was in another one. Yeah.
hmm
yeah, and
okay.
so the dark mode's in the editing bay right now. But I mean, I've just always liked working with Eric. He's a super nice guy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And then you get all the old Hollywood stories and everything. He's real easygoing to have on set. And he was also in 7 Days to Hell.
Oh, so I hadn't seen that one. So yeah,
He
no.
was in
Okay.
that one. So that was a Shane Woodson movie, but I was the DP on that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
So
that's great.
just you around here you run into talent, and then I think it's like at least the way that I've done it in the past is I mean I have casted people. The casting Taryn was through a producer friend of mine, and then we end up working together again on Porterville, the Western that I directed. Um, and then but I mean it's more like I guess for me, because I make indie movies, I can't go to UTA or Gersh or CAA and just go, hey, I can pay X amount
Yeah.
of dollars. Like, it's more like I end up working with them. And then if we hit it off, personality wise,
Oh,
I
okay.
end up working with Eric because I worked with him a couple times on other things and then ended up going, he's funny. I like him. And we got along well. And and,
Right.
and that's basically how it worked. Or Taryn, I cast her in Porterville because I was like we get along good. So and
Right.
then so then a character will come to your mind and you'll be like, okay, she would work for that character, he would work for this character, and then you just ask, you know.
Right on.
At least
Wow.
that's the way it's been.
Well, hey, that's kind of inspiring. Just sometimes you never know if it's going to work until you just ask, like you said, just you never know.
Yeah.
Like the worst they can say is no, but if they say yes, then
I,
cool.
I've always found indie filmmakers are afraid to approach bigger talent like that. And what you don't, what you have to remind yourself of, right, is if you have a really good role, right, actors love to act. So if you're offering them a role and you've done a few things, you probably shouldn't do that for your very first movie, right? Because they're gonna go, okay, but you haven't made anything I can watch, and I want to make sure that I mean, guys, I'm an indie filmmaker. Some of these indie movies are awful, right? So they want to make sure they don't end up in like an awful indie movie, that kind of thing.
Right.
But if you've made something that's been relatively successful, one or two things that have been relatively successful, there's no harm in, if you can find a contact, reaching out to those people, because if you have a really good character, they'll take a read a lot of times because they'll go, okay, they've done a few things. This looks pretty cool. And then um they want to perform, they want to act, they want to be an interesting character. Like
Right.
that's what they love to do. So there's no harm in asking them,
Right.
to
Right.
be, at least that's the way that I've always looked at it. And I've gotten to work with some pretty big people. Probably the only one I ever got starstruck with, guys, was Bill Shatner.
Oh yeah.
I helped produce it was A Tear in the Sky. It was a documentary. And
Okay.
I don't usually get starstruck. I've met all kinds of people, but then this is Captain Kirk, and that's
Yeah.
some of
Yeah.
the first, that's some of the first stuff that I watched when I was a kid. And then you're just going, he's showing up, and you're going, "Oh God, Captain Kirk, don't ruin my childhood." Please don't be an asshole, please. I,
Right.
I, I, I don't think I could take it. He showed up with him and his assistant, nicest guy ever. Got his own coffee out of the coffee thing and sat down,
Oh.
whatever you guys need, and then just started telling us Star Trek stories while we were setting up. And I was like, see, there's hope for humanity. Captain Kirk is a super nice guy.
Right on. That's awesome.
I
Yeah,
was
no,
like, and stayed extra time and said bye to everybody and gave everybody hugs. And then you're like, okay, that I can mark one off the bucket list. I
Right.
got to
Right.
meet Captain Kirk.
I
Nice.
had an
You
experience
know?
like that with Ellen Green from Little Shop of Horrors, who was
Oh
just
yeah.
like that. Like she was super nice. When we'd have lunch breaks, when I worked on that one movie that I mentioned, she sat with the crew. She was very thoughtful. She was like, "Oh, we're filming in Utah. I'm sure most of you are LDS. I had a Mormon boyfriend once." Just kind of silly things
Yeah.
like that. But she was a sweetheart. You're just like, this is the kind of experience you really want. Like, again, you're like, oh, it's the lady from Little Shop of Horrors, but then
Right.
like, or
I,
Captain
I should
Kirk.
I should say too, Preston Weaver, right?
Mhm.
Who's been my DP on several things, 4 or 5 things now, right? He's LDS too.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
nice.
So we may be in California, but we are a friend of the Mormons.
Right on.
Sure. Hey, you know what? As long as people are just nice, I like working with all types, and I love learning from all types with
Right.
films like that too, because it's fun. It's really fun to do that.
So, I want to jump into When It Rains in LA, but before we do that, you are supposed to bring up the biggest actor that was in Static Codes.
Oh yes, the MVP of everyone who I know who saw the movie just said they wanted more of them. Buster.
Buster.
Buster. We love
Buster's
Buster.
Buster's actual name is Judas Marrero.
Oh,
Okay. So but the reason that I can't, okay, so the AD that worked on it, Biahani Marrero, that is her dog.
oh.
And I literally cast Buster because he's a Chihuahua, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
but he's
Mm-hmm.
probably the chillest dog I have ever met. And I was like, I need a dog for this movie. And I don't think that Judas is going to be a pain in the ass.
I was
That
gonna
was
say
it.
because there's the old adage of never work with children or pets in film. So it's like, hey,
Yes.
Buster
Right.
must be a really, really well trained or very chill dog.
Well, I thought
Yeah.
he's either really well trained or they drugged the dog. One of the two things happened.
And that was it. So B used to say, but she used to say, Judas, do you want a cookie? Do you want a cookie? And then that's when his ears would perk up like
Oh
that,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
And so anytime you see one of Judas's reactions, it's actually B standing right off screen going, "You want a cookie? You want a cookie?" And he would
Oh,
like that. And so
right.
and so we were able to get all of those little reactions from him. Like every single time he's surprised or he has a reaction is her just standing off camera. And then other than that, it was hot when we shot that. So he was perfectly content to just sit
Yeah.
on that little dog. He was like, I'm cool.
oh.
I
I'm
don't
just
need
gonna
to move.
chill. Right.
I'm just gonna chill. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome. So, tell me about When It Rains in LA. How did that come about? That
that's
that one you just did.
yeah, that's a good friend of mine, John Sillip. Um, and he wrote that movie, brought it to me. We talked about doing it, and it was he for some reason I think he was raising the funding for it. It just left, right? Sometimes that happens. You get all the way through and you're like, okay, we could do X, Y, and Z. And then like a year later, he came back. He's like, okay, I'm ready to shoot it. I'm like, okay. So we picked back up where we left off. My friend George Lambriotis, um, he produced it. Him and his girlfriend Liz produced it, and brought me on to direct it. And we had the whole. Originally, it was supposed to be a much more subdued thing. I think my influence was bringing the rain in as like part of the mask that make it rain, right?
Okay.
That
Right.
was probably the story point that I added because I kind of wanted the original story was very nonlinear, and I was afraid
Hmm.
it was too nonlinear.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so what I did was I was like, let's ground it with something. So that's where the mask came in with Eric and Tori London, who's also a really good actress. We brought her in and did the whole mask scenario. But as far as shooting it, I think that was the first. Was that was the first thing that Preston shot for me was when
Oh, okay.
LA. And that movie, I think it may get a theatrical release in Italy, actually. It's very popular in Europe.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
okay.
Yeah,
I was wondering because I noticed it's set in Eastern Europe, so it's just like, oh, I guess yeah, I found the right audience for that
yeah.
stuff. So,
So, but I had a ton of fun working on that. Mike Ferguson is in it. He plays the Leslie Stratton's evil twin. That yeah.
hooded man.
Right.
So it was cool because it was probably the first movie I directed that was more of a thriller. It has
Yeah,
horror elements, but more of a thriller.
Right.
yeah, because I noticed a lot of them, the ones you've done, are you've either been like romantic or drama, or something like that. So it's, I mean, yeah, it sounds fun to be able to stretch like that, huh? Like
Right.
just be able to try
Yeah.
something different.
It is a thriller, and I don't want to do a spoiler alert on it, but it has a twist also, which I thought was really cool.
Hmm.
Right towards the end. So
But you have to watch all the way through for the
you got
twist.
to get through the whole show, absolutely, and it's worth it. But the twist, I thought, oh yeah, I like that they put that in there.
That's
Nice.
that's why I'm struggling a little bit too, because it's very twisty turny, the plot line, but I don't really want to give anything away
Yeah.
too, because yeah, it's one of those movies you have to get to the end
Right.
and then go,
Yeah, there
oh, yeah.
there were several things that I really liked about the show. I really liked the aerial shots that you guys had for the city and the area and stuff. And even jumping back to static codes, I really like the aerial shots that you guys had there. I was really wondering where in the world did they come up with this shack that this guy was
Oh,
living in and stuff. And it's
that
like, my
that is
gosh,
a handmade house.
I was wondering.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot more
So
sense now.
it's at a place out in Thousand Oaks, California called The Last Outpost, and the guy worked for Warner Brothers, I think, as a prop person his
Okay.
entire life, and he built that house
Ju-
himself
okay.
out of like
Wow.
spare stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I noticed it was very like
It looked like spare stuff.
yeah, like it was like very like
yes,
stitched together kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah. But it is a fully functional house with air conditioning and everything. But he built it over the course of like 20 years. The girl that owns it, I'm struggling to remember her name, but it was her dad. Just built
Oh.
that. Just built that.
Right.
And so it just exists in the woods. As far as here's a weird thing about when it rains in LA. That's the Pacific Palisades, guys. That stuff's gone.
Oh. Oh
Oh,
no.
Those
yeah.
overhead shots. The now that particular house is not gone, but a lot of the stuff around it is that so we shot that in the Pacific Palisades. So that
Okay.
entire but the house actually did survive.
Oh
Uh
wow.
and because Tory London let me know that it
Okay.
that particular house was on one part of the hill, but everything else around
It's,
it
it's all gone.
completely just like ash.
Good grief.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just there by itself now. So
So that was pretty cool. I really though there was just very visually appealing how you guys worked those shots and stuff. I thought that was pretty nice.
It did make me think though that that house probably wasn't very ADA accommodating with a guy in a wheelchair too. Some of those shots were a little tight, I will
Oh
say.
yeah, yeah, back in the right.
But it really fit, I think, for the character because I mean it gave that kind of like you were saying, like the very kind of kooky, quirky vibe to the lifestyle he was living to have this very uniquely quirky house that matches it
in
kind of
Right.
too.
in the script, he's in a house trailer. I want him to be in like one of those desert double wide house trailers.
Mhm.
But then we found that little house, and I was like, I like this better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that gives the for what he is, it's the off the grid house. You
mhm.
know, he's the conspiracy theory guy who is off the grid and living in this little, you know, shack down in some cavern somewhere, you know.
Off the grid in the Pacific Palisades.
So yeah, so the aerial shots were awesome. The other I really liked the music in When It Rains in LA.
Oh
And
yeah, that's Vice.
okay, yeah. So I looked them up and kind of was listening to some of their stuff, but yeah, I really liked the music through that show. I thought that was really nice. Um, and the very beginning shot where you have Eric Roberts and what is her name? Who's the
Oh, Tori.
yes.
Hmm.
Um, at the very beginning, like for 2 minutes, there's no sound. There's just some light music, and it's just those two. I
Hmm.
thought, man, this is really effective. What an awesome way to begin a show doing that, you know?
Yeah.
It looked really cool.
Yeah, I want that's kind of what you know, the songs that Thice performed for it are, I mean, they're some of them are things that he picked, but we themed it to the character, to what's going on in the character in Monroe, the main character, what's going on in her head. So
Okay.
so the lyrics of the songs kind of tell what's happening or where she's at emotionally. And so that's the reason we had the big expansive opening and all of that stuff. Uh,
Okay.
so it was a way to showcase the music and a way to tell a little bit more, at least even subconsciously, about the character.
Nice.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So, you didn't write that one, but you directed it. Um, so what did I had a question about the directing. So you have a certain style
Mhm.
when you do movies and stuff. Directors I find have kind of you can kind of tell a director when you see a movie. You can kind of tell, oh, that seems like an M. Night Shyamalan movie, or that
Mhm.
seems like a Quentin Tarantino movie,
Yeah, they're
even if you
trademark.
don't know,
Yeah.
right? And so I was kind of wondering about you, how you feel about your style. What do you, when you go into a movie, do you have a kind of a specific style that you kind of like or uh, kind of go after?
I think I try to tailor the style depending on depending on the movie that I'm doing, right?
Okay.
Especially I think there's a definite visual style that I have. But I try to tailor that to whatever we're doing with the movie, with color, with camera movement, with things like that. For instance, like Static Codes, we shot it anamorphic. It's
Okay.
wide.
Oh, oh
So
yeah,
it has that 70s sci-fi kind of look.
Right.
But then what I wanted to do was keep the where we're shooting, like his house, very quaint, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I do a lot of that stuff when I'm thinking about how I want things to happen visually. I'm extremely visual the way that I work. And I think that comes from being a DP.
yeah.
The What I wanted to do with When It Rains in LA is, yeah, we wanted to show off LA. We wanted to show off the Eastern Europe stuff and everything else, but at the same time, I wanted to keep everything very mundane
Okay.
at the first of the movie. So what I wanted to do is everything is mundane until Leslie Stratton attacks, right?
Right.
Then it turns into a full-on horror movie, and then you start to see there's even actually like we have the lightning strikes outside the
Yeah.
window and stuff as she's standing there. We're doing a lot of like classic classic horror movie kind of setups in there. So then you have the suburban place, and then you flip it on its ear and you make it more like an old school horror movie. So there's all of
Right.
that, but a lot of what I add, I think is uh is visual, but I come up with kind of a different visual theme for every single thing that I do. Yeah.
Right.
Good.
Yeah.
So the talking about that that kind of that classic look and stuff of the horror. So there's one scene, Mike Ferguson and it's Leslie. Those are the two bad guys, right?
Mhm.
So they have cornered two of the good guys, two of the actors at their house at the front door. And let's see, who's the boy? Felix Murbach?
Felix Murbach. Yep.
Okay. So um, Felix is trying to get away from the girl, from Leslie, and he spins around, and there's Mike standing there. And Mike kind of gets a hold of him, I think. And
Uh-huh.
it was absolutely hilarious. And the vibe that it gave, what comes out of Mike Ferguson is, "Hi, Mark." It's like,
Hi, Mark. Yep.
"Hi, Mark." Just this,
Hi, Mark.
"Hi, Mark." Yeah,
Because he knew his name.
right,
That's what it was.
right.
Yeah.
But
Then
but it was, but it was just like this I don't know, this feel of this is what a classic horror. You got the bad guy, just that's his line. "Hi, Mark."
yeah.
And then
Hi,
it cuts, and you don't know what happens to Mark after that, right?
Mark. But yeah, that's like it's yeah that was a little bit and of course it's like a subtle little reference to, hi Mark,
Yeah.
which is
Because he wanted to let
because
him know he did not hit her.
the character's name was Mark. So yeah,
Right.
there's a lot of, that was that I don't even think that line was in the original script.
No.
I just told Mike to do it. Yeah, you're gonna come and he grabbed him and put hi Mark. And then yeah, that
Right.
was it. And we kept it in the edit. I was letting everybody have a little bit of fun. And then
Right.
also her, Leslie was great with the when she pulls the knife out, that whole thing. And then they're like, oh shit, we gotta go.
Right. Right.
All of that stuff. So yeah,
So those were
inject a little humor
right
in there.
on.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it makes the whole thing fun. You got some excitement, you got some twists, you got some humor. I mean, it just kind of plays along with the whole thing, which is good, right?
Yeah.
So, I want to give you an opportunity real quick. Just kind of what have you got coming up that
Yes.
maybe we can look forward to? People that are going to listen to this, they can kind of, oh, you know what? I need to look that up now. I want to see that.
So right now we have a couple things that are coming out. So we've got a vampire movie, which is kind of um, a Beauty and the Beast type thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to give it I'm trying to give it um a good intro here. So it's called Dracula Eternal. Mike Ferguson is starring in it as Detective Drake Poller, and we have a good friend of mine, Cody Renee Cameron, who's the lead actress in it. But it is a female-led retelling of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Huh.
Oh, awesome.
So we have that. So it centers around Mina Harker instead of Jonathan Harker, and it takes place in modern day California with a nice little detective story. So we have
Ooh.
that coming out. We have Last Hit, which has Mike and Tawana in it. If you notice, I like Mike Ferguson a lot.
Yeah.
The
No, and that didn't come across at all. I couldn't have guessed.
and then the and then so we have that. That's an 80s style action movie, right?
Okay.
Which is about Mike's character Vincent, who is a hitman who is trying to retire, right? So it's his
Okay.
last hit, and then of course intrigue ensues, and then we have a post-apocalyptic um horror movie called Blackout, which is
Hmm.
about the end of the world. So nuclear bomb drops, and now a group of people have to survive. It blows Los Angeles off the map, but it's a group of people in San Diego that have to
Oh, okay.
survive, and they get trapped in a warehouse together.
And
Okay.
So
and wait, I'm getting an impression. I think Mike Ferguson's also in this movie too.
Mike Ferguson is in that movie, but no, the
He's working, boy.
so I'm really I'm proud of all of them, but I'm very proud of Blackout
Ooh.
because we recreated the end of the world with a bag of flour, an orange light, and a bag of flour. So we got industrial fans and shot flour into the air, and that's ash. And
Oh.
we destroyed a parking lot in San Diego.
Nice.
Like complete like the funny thing is they went to go wash it up and it just turned into dough. It was just like bread dough.
Yeah,
And
Oh.
that's what
but I was
happens,
trying to
flour
think,
and
I was
water.
like, how can we do this? How can we make it look like the world has ended? Right. And I was like, we need ash, almost like a volcano went off or something like that, or ash falling from so after we set dressed it, we did that, and I was like, well, what's something you could put into the air that's not going to hurt anybody because you have to breathe this stuff. And I was like,
Sure.
Yeah.
organic flour. So 100-pound bag
Right.
of organic flour, and we had to check and make sure that no one was gluten intolerant.
That's worse than radiation.
but but yeah, we have all of that coming out, and then there's more. There's a movie called Dark Mode, which is coming out soon. There's a movie that I was the DP on called Ensnared,
Mhm.
which is an action movie. Dark Mode and Ensnared do not have Mike Ferguson in them. There's
What?
there's a movie called Bachelorette Party that I directed that'll be coming out soon, which is a demon ends up at a bachelorette party, starts jumping from bachelorette to bachelorette, and they all start killing each other.
Yeah, and I see you have a few regulars there too, like Leanne Bauer and a few of the other people you've worked with
Yeah,
as well. Yeah.
yep,
Nice.
absolutely.
Excellent.
So
That's awesome.
it's
So,
we It's a movie a month, guys. There's going to be plenty more where that came from.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So far, I think Blackout's the only one I see on IMDb that definitely has, at least for your directing outing, that has like a set release date of some sort, at least in post production. So,
Yes.
yeah, no, I'm
They're,
curious to see what comes out for that.
they all already have that. That's another good thing. I should rep my company a little bit in case there are any filmmakers out there that want to make a movie.
Yes.
They all have built-in distribution.
Oh,
So
good.
we do sales and things at Rad Cine and everything else. So anything that we do, we pretty much have it set up where an indie filmmaker can come in with an idea, we can put it together for them, and then get it all the way to completion, get it delivered to distributors, throw big premieres for it, market, advertise, do all of that stuff. So in a lot of
Right on.
ways, these movies are also advertisements for my company. You know,
Right on.
Nice.
yeah.
So, Bloodbath Films, is that something you're doing also?
No, not anymore. Now,
Okay, I just want to make sure.
now it's Villainous Films.
Okay,
Oh.
right on. Yeah, so that's perfect. So for everybody that is listening to this or going to listen to it or whatever you got going on, yeah, check out David Mitch Parks. Check out the movies that we've been talking about. He's got movies coming up that we need to check out, and check out Rad Cine
And everyone go and watch Static Codes because
and
that's what
watch
I'm
that.
promoting right now. Watch Static.
That's right.
It's super easy to find too. You can find it on Tubi as of this recording. So,
That's right.
Yep.
Nice.
all right.
You got anything else you want to add, or?
I just want to say thank you for taking this time with us. This has been really, really fun to be able to pick your brain about a lot of this stuff. You know, just
Oh,
even
yeah.
from just a guy like me where I have experience with film stuff. It's always great to hear other filmmakers and hear people in the industry speak about their craft in such a way.
And see now that you know me, the next thing that you put together, because you're eventually going to make another one. So you need to call me, and then it won't be so stressful.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I have a project or two.
I'll leave you guys on this note, right? Is there have been 90% of the movies I've done, they went great. There was one in particular, and I will not say the name of it. I literally got kicked out of a Hilton and lost 20 pounds. It was so stressful. So I have been there.
Yep.
I have absolutely been through the ringer on a couple. It's rough.
Yeah.
Right on.
But
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, this has been really good. I liked getting to hear about you and getting to know you a little bit better. And I'm really looking forward to, checking out these other movies you've got going on. So this is going to be awesome. So yeah, you got anything else you want to add before we take off?
No,
David?
that's it.
You're good?
Yeah.
All right. If you want to push the button.
All right, I am pushing the button. Good night, folks.
And we're gone.
There we go.
And we're gone. Nice.
All right. Thank you, brother.
No, thank
This was
you.
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, thanks. If you guys need me to come on and talk about anything else, just let me know.
Cool. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you being on.
Cool. Thank you.
And make sure everybody that tell them about our show.
Okay.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, just send me a link and I'll do the whole social media post. I'll do the whole collab thing and everything.
I'll send you one. Awesome. Thanks, man.
Cool. All right. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You want to?
Yeah, I'll do.
Thanks for listening to My Dad's Movie Podcast. We had a lot of fun creating it, and we hope you enjoyed it.
For more content, please check us out at Facebook and YouTube at My Dad's Movie Podcast, or visit our website, mydadsmoviepodcast.com.
And always, if you'd like to help support us, please check out our Patreon at My Dad's Movie Podcast.
Thanks for listening, everybody.